Hello everyone, welcome to 2LAM Coding. So today we are going to discuss about a new and interesting topic in Spring Boot, which is Spring Cloud configuration. So actually I just want to take this topic right now because we just recently we have read about Spring profiling, and this is an extension of that particular. So if you are not aware about Spring profiling, then definitely you should watch that first and then you can come here. In this particular tutorial, I'll not be discussing about anything about profiling or any code I'll be showing. I'll not show any code. I'll just explain the core concepts of Spring Cloud configuration. So today we will be giving the answer of why is the Spring Cloud configuration. Okay. So we are having why we need a Spring Cloud configuration, then what is Spring Cloud config, and then how we can implement into our project. So these three things we'll be seeing, but today only we will be covering why we are having a need of cloud configuration. Okay, so before coming to this particular diagram, let me explain you a simple scenario. So for example, that you are having one microservice, okay, and this microservice is having one, let's say, for example, here you are having one variable, and that variable is, let's say, company name. Okay, and let's say this particular service is employee service. Okay, this microservice is employee service, and this is running at some that it is deployed somewhere in the production. So company name, let's say my company name is anything. It can be, let's say, Furious Tech is my company name. Okay, so Furious Tech. Okay, Furious Tech is my company name, and for example, in my this microservice there are 100 classes, and this company name is being used multiple places in all those classes. Okay, in all those classes it is being used multiple places, and this Furious tag also, for example, I have defined the value of this company name as Furious tag. Okay, at multiple places. Okay, simple, right? Now for example, tomorrow this particular name is changed to Furious Technologies. Okay, or Curious Tech, let's say. So tomorrow this particular name is changed to Curious Tech. Okay, so the thing is that in your this particular scenario, as you have hard coded this particular name in the code multiple times, so you need to go each and every place and change this particular name, right? You need to go each and every place and change this particular name. Now, guys, you can understand the pain of doing this, right? Let's say you are having a thousand places, then each and every place you cannot change, right? And it is a bug prone also, right? Let's say you forget somewhere, so it can be a bug in your application. Okay, so let's say how you can resolve this particular issue. Okay, so rather than keeping this particular name in the hard coding in the classes, what you can do, we are having one app config, right? Properties or YML file. Okay, like we already discussed about it. If you are not aware, in the that profiling topic we discussed about it, or you are having any properties file, right? Let's say not, or YML, or a property file you are having. Okay, let me remove it. You are having app.yml or properties file. Okay, so you can, what you can do, this company name you can define there actually, right? So this company name you can define that whatever Furious tag you are having. Okay, you can define here, and rather than this particular hard coded Furious tags, what you can do, you can just put a placeholder here. Okay, and you can update all those places. So I think it is making clear. I am just going little slowly so that we can understand this concept very well. So rather than hard coding, first option is you can keep in your properties file or YML file, and then your application, when it will run, it will read these values from this particular place. Okay, automatically. So in this particular thing, what let's say tomorrow what happened, that this Furious tag is being change to curious tag. So you don't need to change anything in your 100 classes or anything in your code. You can simply change the value in your properties file and automatically it will be picking up, right? This will pick up automatically. Why? Because this particular application is a configuration actually, and this configuration we can read. But the problem here is, first thing, that you are changing the name. So let's say your application is already deployed as a container in production. So if you are changing something, this application property also exists in your system, right? So if something like this particular value is changed, then definitely you need to do the deployment of this particular service. And let's say business don't want this particular name to be changed, and deployments will happen on any specific days, right? Weekends and those times. So business want this particular name to be updated as soon as possible. So again you need to go through entire deployment cycle, right? So it's a pain, guys, right? So to solve this particular problem, we have defined it into the properties file, and this properties file, as it is also existed in our Spring Boot application, then you need to again deploy it if something is getting changed, right? I think this particular concept is making sense. Here only comes the role of Spring Cloud configuration, that rather than keeping your properties inside your application, either hard coded or your property YML file, what you are doing, you are keeping your configuration into cloud. Okay, so that's how it is named as cloud configuration. So in the cloud means it's not the real clouds which is in the sky, it is somewhere in the memory, like either it can be in Git or in your local, wherever it can be. Okay, so this particular one folder you have created or anything you have created, and in this particular, now let's say if I define this company name here, okay, and let's say the value I am putting it here only furious tag of this particular company name, right? This furious tag I'm taking here. Okay, okay, this company name is in my cloud configuration. So tomorrow, let's say this particular furious tag I'll remove from here, and let's say this particular I don't need here because automatically I am reading from cloud configuration, so I'm removing all those things. Okay, so what will happen, that your this company name, it will, rather than coming from properties file, it will not come from here, it will directly come from cloud configuration, and this cloud configuration is outside your project. Okay, outside your container. So let's say tomorrow my business says that you just need to update this particular name as curious tag, so I can update here, right? I can update in this particular file actually. So this is known as cloud configuration. So simply the idea is that there is one more layer actually, we will be discussing about it in our later tutorial, which is cloud config server. I just want to introduce you to this name. Okay, this cloud config server will be your Spring Boot service only. Okay, microservice, and it will be Spring Boot, which will help you to connect your application. Okay, so this particular application, our employee application, will be going to cloud config server. Then cloud config server will be having the information about cloud configuration, and cloud configuration is nothing but a folder actually. It can be in Git, and these are files actually. We have read about profiles, so here comes the role of profiling, that let's say in production you want furious tag, but in non-prod you want something like any furious technologies, anything, right? So in different regions, let's say we want some different variables, so here comes the role of that profiling. So we will be discussing that thing later. I don't want to talk about it right now. Just for now, understand this particular concept, that don't want to update at multiple places some variables. We just want to make it as tokenized or placeholder of it. We don't want to keep it into our properties or a YML file, because if there also we will be changing, then deployment is needed. So you are keeping that particular, you are decoupling the things, you are keeping outside of your project, so that tomorrow if something is updating, then what you can do, you can directly update here, and either like you can restart your service, it will automatically. So here in your application you will be defining the cloud config properties, like what is the actually it will be having a URL of the cloud configuration, so that we'll be discussing later in our tutorials. But for now, in your application somehow you define the cloud configuration properties, how it need to connect, and then it will be going to the cloud configuration server. That cloud configuration server will be having the information about this particular file or folder where our configurations are there, and then this particular thing will be connecting. Okay, and then your this particular channel will be established, and this way your company name is decoupled from your application. So tomorrow on the fly, if something is running in production and on the fly you want to change, you can directly change it and automatically it will reflect in your application. And one more thing, let's say passwords are there, some sensitive information, right? You cannot hard code in your code and commit into Git. So what you can do, you can keep that particular thing into cloud configuration. Actually, not exactly in cloud configuration we should keep it, right? If you have worked on some industrial project, then in wherever we deploy our application, right, in the K8 or let's say Vault, you can keep it, right? So this password here also you can tokenize, let's say, and this password you can keep in Vault or some other place. Vault, like, don't worry about those things, we'll be discussing in some other tutorials about those things, but you can keep these password at some secret or some secret place, and it will read from there also. Cloud configuration is having the feature of that, like it can read from Vault, okay, or it can read from K8 secrets, okay. Okay, so this is the basic simple thing. So I hope guys this particular topic is making sense now. So I know this video is little vague, I'm not showing any code, I just want to explain you about the cloud configuration. So simply, if you are having a Spring Boot application, then every property, like not every property actually, whatever you need, those properties you can read from here. Okay, those properties you can read from here, and cloud configuration will serve whatever you need. So Spring Boot application, if we are having, we can put our variables or properties or configuration into Spring Cloud config, and then it will be providing. And why we do it? Because we don't want to change at multiple place, or we don't want to keep it in our YML or property file, because again if it will be changing, then deployment is needed. So we are decoupling that particular place. We want to keep these configuration outside our project, right? So if we need to change something on the fly, then definitely you can do it easily. So yes guys, that's it for this particular tutorial. In the coming tutorials, I'll be explaining you in very good way about like code and all, how you can implement in very easy way, and we'll be seeing more about this topic. So but this basic is very important. Like I have read about lots of tutorials in YouTube and lots of places, but it's little difficult to understand actually how cloud configuration work. And believe me guys, if you know this particular thing, right, you will be able to handle your application in very better way. And if something is there, you can keep it in cloud configuration, smart decisions you can take, right? So yes guys, that's it for this particular tutorial, and see you in the next tutorial. Until then, be happy, and if you are liking the video, then don't forget to click the like button and subscribe our channel. Okay, thank you.